The sacred mountain to the south is referred to as Mount Taylor in English. In the language of our people, it's called Sotzit. Some people translate that to mean the tongue mountain, but it's the texture I think it's referring to traditionally when they say like the smoothness of a buckskin. The Sotzit is what they would call it in that way, is that it is velvety looking, smooth looking, and so they would call it Sotzit. And it's the sacred mountain to the south, and it's near Grants, New Mexico, and it is also the area that the giant was killed, the one that was the most evil, the most vile giant in the winter stories and that. And so this was the place that that giant was killed by the two boys. And so as the blood flowed out of the giant, it flowed down into the lower parts of the area here. And there's reddish lava rock and that in all different places. And that was said to be the bubbling blood of the giant as it flowed away from his body. And there's also a lake area that used to be up here in this area. And that was the drinking water that that giant used to drink out of. The other stories in that associated with this area is the original Fort Wingate, when it was built by the military back in the mid-1800s, was down in this area. In fact, just practically southwest of present-day Grants, New Mexico. And so the teachings of our people, there are a lot of the stories in that are the winter stories type of stories in that are set in this area. And so the mountain, of course, is very sacred, and a lot of people would collect mountain soil from this particular mountain because it's really quite easily accessible. It's just east of the Continental Divide, and the water from this mountain flows to the into the Rio Grande. And the area up here where the Continental Divide is located east from here, they call that area Toazle, which is where the water flows in two directions, one flowing to the east and one flowing to the west. And so there's a lot of history in that and teachings in that are associated with this particular area and surrounding this particular sacred mountain. So it's the Navajo Nation actually includes this particular area where the place is called Thoreau, and it goes up to Ayunabator, which is to the west of us here. It's Buffalo Springs. And then, of course, the area Crown Point, east is what they call the Crown Point area. And then to the south is near the Zuni Pueblos, which is probably, as the way the crow flies, it might be 60 miles away. But Nastej is what they call the Zuni people, and they live down in that area. And of course, we have on the other side of this mountain, at the base of this mountain to the south, there are some other Pueblo people in that as well. And so, like I say, there's a lot of stories in that associated with this particular area. You can have that told in the winter stories during the winter time. The four sacred mountains, of course, is Mount Blanca to the east, and then to the south is Mount Taylor. To the west is Mount Humphreys, and then to the north is Mount Hesperus. And these are all of the four sacred mountains in the sacred directions. And those are the things that we are told.